Hey guys, Tactical Minds here. So today I want to go over a police shooting breakdown from police shooting occurred approximately 2 months ago in a Burlington coat factory store in the North Hollywood division of Los Angeles. So a couple quick things before we get into that. Of course, as always, like, comment, share with your friends, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, all that good stuff, right? One thing I do want to say is, even though I have the thin blue line, flag here in the background, and I am law enforcement, by no means does that mean that I'm not going to call something out when I see it. Now, I'm not doing this video to shit on the officers or call anything out for being bad. And hindsight is always 2020. I just want to kind of break the video down from a tactical mindset because that's what we do on this channel, and kind of let you guys know what I think about it. All right. Give me a second here. So we're going to start the video and I'm going to kind of break it down and pause it in between just to kind of show you guys, my breakdown on the tactics. So quick little backstory. Like I said, Burlington Coat Factory, North Hollywood, approximately 2 months ago. Suspect was shot dead on the scene. It was a good shoot. Unfortunately, a stray bullet did strike a 14-year-old teenage girl in a dressing room that was in the wall behind the suspect, and she did die as a result of those injuries on scene. So again, we're going to kind of go into this. I'll be pausing it throughout just to kind of explain things to you. At this point, the police have received the call that there's an assault in progress in the Burlington Coat Factory. They're not sure whether it's a gun or what it is. I believe at this point, I've been told that they weren't sure whether it was a gun. The actual implement was this guy that was going crazy in the store, and he had a bicycle lock and was just beating people with it. The guy was clearly out of his mind, probably drugged up, but more on that in another time. Anyway, let's get into this. So right now we can see the officer with the rifle is approaching up the stairs. It's coming up. We can see the other three officers right here, or four officers are ready to go. All right. So one thing you hear right there in the video, right? One thing you hear is you're going to hear the other officers tell the primary officer to slow down. Now, the officer with the rifle is going to be the officer that's going to take lead. And at this point, that's the right thing to do, right? We have several other officers with their sidearms. We have an officer with what appears to be an M16 rifle, but it's an AR style rifle, a little bit older one. But anyway, you always want to let the officer with the rifle take the lead. That being said, if you're the officers in the rear, you want to make sure that you're not flagging him. And by that, I mean your weapon is not pointing at the back of his head while he's focused on what's going on in front of him. You need to be focused on your left, your right, and watching the rear, making sure nobody comes up behind you, because at this point, you don't know where the suspect is. All right, to go a little further. All right, so you see the officer with the rifle. He says, officer with the rifle there, like I said, he's going to tell the other officers, step aside. And you see right there, he's going to go ahead and take point, right? He's the rifleman, so he's going to go ahead, take point on the situation. Again, you see in the captions here, you can hear the other officers tell him to slow down. Now, at this point, you are going to hear the officer that is in the primary position with the rifle start to get a little excited. And you'll hear that in about a minute. And I'm going to argue with his level of excitement, his other officers telling him to slow down. Adrenaline's high in a situation like this, as always, but the other officers are maintaining their composure a little bit better, telling him to slow down. I would almost argue one of them should have probably been in the lead with the rifle, just because they were a little more composed in the situation. But I don't know this officer's background. And again, I'm not here to crap all over him, just kind of calling out what I see. Okay, so one thing I want to note real quick here, and let me move this, is if you look over here, you can see these aisles going down the side, right? So these aisles are going down the side to the right, and I imagine as to the left as well, right? You're going to see the suspect down one of these aisles. Now, at this point, not knowing where the suspect is, when you have what looks to me as to be a four-man formation there, I would probably say at this point, not knowing where the suspect is, I would probably take one or two officers and I would break off to the right or to the left, just a little bit, to where you can still see the main formation of the team, but you also have a bit of a tactical advantage to a flanking situation, basically taking the suspect from the side, if that's the situation you come across. Because again, at this point, we don't know where the suspect is. But anyway, let's go ahead and continue. We'll keep it there.
She's bleeding. She's bleeding.
All right. So you see right there, you saw the blood on the ground. Okay. Blood's on the ground right around here. You hear the primary officer yell, she's bleeding. She's bleeding. This blurred out thing right here, this is going to be our female victim who has been beaten with the bicycle lock. So he yells, she's bleeding, and he's pushing forward. You can hear now his voice is getting a little excited because obviously seeing the blood, seeing the victim down, and he's going to, his adrenaline's pumping pretty good at this point. Okay. Now, right here, I want to stop. Okay. So right there, the suspect is right here. Okay. Now, as I said, we have these aisles going left and right, right? Now, if we would have broke off one or two officers and put them on the side, we would have been in a much more advantageous position tactically to take this suspect from either side. Now, he has the bicycle lock in his hand right here. I can't tell from this angle, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't look like a weapon. He didn't have a weapon, but I'm not the officer on scene, so I'm not the one seeing it. A couple of things I will point out, though. Okay, right here where we have the victim down, if you notice her proximity to the suspect right here, okay, when this officer peeks the corner with his rifle and goes to take a look, you need to be peeking just above your rifle, and you should be looking at the suspect and seeing what's going on down there. I would have took a peek and angled and pied the corner a little bit. He goes and stands straight out in front of the corner, and he's standing in what we call the fatal funnel. Okay, see this area right here? We call this the fatal funnel because at that point you are funneled in. Okay, if any rounds are going to come through this area right here, they're coming straight through your chest. Okay, you are standing right in the middle. You do not want to be in the fatal funnel. And the other problem with him being there at that time is you're also jamming that funnel up, and you're not allowing your other officers, your backup officers and your secondary officers, to get into a position to be in the gunfight as well, or to be able to take some type of advantage in the situation tactically. You're boxing everybody out. I understand he's the primary, but again, tactics wise, that's kind of poor tactics in my opinion. The other thing that I have a problem with is at this point, knowing that this woman is bleeding on the ground, okay, and the suspect's down here, you peek that corner, the first thing you do, if the first thing I would have done before I even peeked the corner, honestly, is I would have took this woman and I would have dragged her out. I mean, grab her by the back of her collar, whatever you got to do, drag her out of the situation, okay? Because she's already bleeding. You don't know the extent of her injuries. Get her out. Somebody could hopefully be getting her medical attention. Now, if you don't have the means to get her medical attention, the reason you're still dragging and getting her out of that situation is because if this suspect down here has a gun and he starts firing, and now we're engaged in a firefight with each other, okay? All these rounds are going right through this little funnel here again, right? And look who's laying there right beside. She's laying right there. If she's laying there and you're sitting there getting into a gunfight and rounds are flying above your head and her head, you're putting her in a very bad position. You can move now and take cover if need be and return fire, but she's laying right there. Again, tactically, I'm going to say that's poor tactics. I would have absolutely pulled this woman out of the way before I even engaged into the threat. Now, you hear shots fired, right? So you heard the 3 shots go off before. They strike the suspect 3 times. The suspect does go down, okay? The problem is right behind this wall here is a dressing room area, and that's where the 14-year-old young lady was, where the round skipped up and hit her. Now, again, the shoot was good, okay? This guy had already been assaulted. He'd already hurt a couple people. We don't know, what else he had in his hands at this point, what his further intentions were. So the shooting was good. The problem is, guys, what we talk about is knowing beyond your target, okay? And we stress that in law enforcement, and I stress that in every tactics that I talk about is know what's beyond your target, okay? Just like when I say when you're talking about, protecting your home. When you're protecting your home, you have to know what's beyond your target. The reason why people argue what's the best type of weapon for your home is because of that reason, right? So some people like to say shotgun. I don't personally think a shotgun's the best weapon for your home because, again, what lies beneath your target? A shotgun's going to have a big spread, right? It's going to do a lot of damage. Well, what lies beneath your target or behind your target, past your target, right? Beyond it. If you live in an apartment complex like me, you have neighbors that live on the other side of you, okay? Live above you, below you, on the other side. Those rounds are going through that wall. You don't want to be picking buckshot out of a next door neighbor, okay? That's why, personally, for me, I use a rifle, smaller hole, whatever, but that's a whole nother video. But my thing is, what lies beyond your target, okay? Now, this officer had no way of knowing that there was a 14-year-old girl in the changing room in the wall back there. So you can't fault him for it. He didn't know. So it obviously was unintentional and it's very unfortunate. But what I would say, and again, hindsight 2020 being, what I would say is he could have took another minute, took a peek, saw what was in the guy's hands. If it wasn't a weapon, there was another way to tackle this situation where the rounds didn't have to be fired right at that area where we're in a crowded department store and we have lots of other civilians around us. Okay. Tactically, I think it could have been done a lot better, in my opinion. And again, had he been looking over his sights and seeing that the suspect had a bike lock in his hand and not a weapon, there was no need to engage right at that point. Was there a need to engage? Yes, you had to stop the threat. You have to put the threat down. But the need to engage right at that point while standing in the fatal funnel with the victim down in front of you or right behind you was not the right time to engage, in my opinion. And unfortunately, like I said, this young girl did lose her life because of it. Now, again, hindsight, like I said, right? Always 2020. So did this young girl have to die? I'm going to say no. This officer is going to go home, and unfortunately he's going to wrestle with that for the rest of his life, and he's going to have to sleep with that at night, and that's a horrible thing to have to deal with. I'm not going to say that if my advice or my tactics advice was taken that this could have been prevented, because the fact of the matter is it was an accident. Unfortunate accidents do happen. However, this is why we train and train and train, right? We want our tactics to be the best all the time because we want to minimize, the possibilities of actions like this happening as much as we can, right? At the end of the day, we just want to stop the threat. We want to go home. And we want other people to go home as well. But again, it was a good shoot. I just think tactically it could have been done a little different. And again, with his level of excitement, I don't think he was thinking completely 100% clearly. I think some of the other officers were thinking clear. But anyway, guys, that's my breakdown of this video. Going to hopefully do some more at another time. Let me know what you think. Get in the comment section below and let me know what your opinions are. Again, please like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thanks for taking the time to watch, guys. Have a great day.